Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Bailey and today I'm going to be showing you how to finger knit a chunky blanket. What we'll need is size 7 yarn, so the jumbo size, 2 hair clips, and a pair of scissors. Alright, let's get started. Alrighty, so first and foremost, we'll make a slip knot to start our chain, our foundation chain. So essentially, all you do is take your tail end. So here's my tail end, and then the long end that's connected to the yarn. I just put the tail over the working yarn and then flip forward like a little pretzel, and then you pull the working yarn through. So like that. So next what we'll do is we start making the foundation chain. So I'm going to take the working yarn, so not the tail, so the working yarn that's connected to the ball. I'm going to make a loop, and then I take my fingers through my original foundation loop, and then I'm going to pull it through and then flip over. So now I have 2 loops. So again, I'll take my fingers and then grab the working yarn, pull through, flip over. And so we're going to make a nice line. So a line of chains or loops. So pull through, flip over. I'll do a couple here. So it's pull through, flip over, pull through, flip over, and then pull through, flip over. Okay, so this is what it looks like when you have your foundation chain. So I have front loops and back loops. So you have, these are in the front, so these guys here, and these are in the back. So what you'll do is, so we're going to start making, because we're going to start going to the right now. So essentially we've done 1 row, and obviously for your blanket you'll have it a lot longer, but just for visual purposes, I made mine a little bit shorter. So we'll turn around. So the way we do that is, so we'll take this last loop that I made, same thing, I'm going to slip my fingers through, grab the working yarn and pull it through, and then I'm going to lay it on top. So what it looks like now is, so we're going to lay it on top. So now I've started the next row, and so you can see how this one's a little bit longer. So the important thing is just to remember the top and then the bottom, or front and back. And so I'm going to grab it again from the back, from the top. So another top loop, and then lay it forward. So again, let me show you how to do that. So again, so this is my top loop. So I'm going to take my fingers through here, grab my working yarn, and then pull it through. Again. And then so one thing I like to do, so once I get to 3, so this is where the little hair clips come in handy. Once I get to 3, what I do is I clip these 2, so the first 2 together. Now the reason for that is because it's really, really easy to forget this last loop because it kind of hides there. And you'll see what I mean, the more rows that you do as you keep going, and it gets longer, you can forget these so easily. So this way it's like a little reminder that, oh, I haven't done the last loop yet, so I can't turn around. So again, so I'm going to do this whole row. So pull it through, lay it forward. So pull through, lay forward. So, and then this one too. So I'm going to pull through, lay it forward, and it will match. So, and if you're ever wondering, oh, if I have all of them, it'll match the original number that you started with. So it'll match the original number in your chain. And then my last one here, pull it through, lay it forward. Here we go. Now when I make blankets, I don't make them perfectly symmetrical. I don't mind if like some of the loops are a little bit tighter than the other, because I feel like it just makes it all kind of, when it all comes together, you can't really tell. Also, I think it gives it just a little more where it's not so tight, it's more flexible and breathable. So again, I made it to my last two. So I'm going to turn around. So again, I'm going to do 3. And then I'm going to place my hair clip on the first 2. Okay, so I'm just going to keep going for now, and then I'll show you how to add yarn. Okay, let's say I'm at the point where I'm at the end of my yarn here and I want to add a new piece. So, or if you want to change color or anything like that. So it's pretty easy. So if you just turn it over, and then so what I'm going to do is I'm just literally going to make a knot, and then I'm going to tie it twice, and then pull. And I always like to pull really, really tight just to make sure it doesn't come off. And then I'll cut. Sorry, my scissors are a little dull here. And then cut. All right. So now I can keep going. And sometimes I'll have the little knot it'll even be here, because this time it's staying behind. That's why I try to, like, when I change the yarn, I try to flip it over and keep it behind. Sometimes the yarn will be up here or something, but I promise you, you will never notice it in a million years on the blanket. When you're looking at it up close, yeah, you're gonna notice it, but if you're giving it to somebody or you're even using it, you'll never notice it in a million years. And so, yeah, so you just keep going like normal. Yeah, and so so the next step I'm going to show you is how to bind off. Okay, so let's say you're finished with your work and you're finished with your whole blanket and you're ready to bind off. So how would we do that? So what we'll do is, so I'm going to do the first 2 stitches, or the first 2 loops, just like I've been showing you. So slip your fingers through the loop, pull the working yarn through and lift up. Same thing for the next one. Slip fingers through. Sorry, I'm gonna pull the working yarn up. Perfect. Okay, so we have 2. So then what we'll do is we take the one on the very end. I'm gonna put my fingers through again, and instead of grabbing the working yarn, I'm going to grab this next loop and slip it. So now I have 1. So I'll kind of show you. So the original one, or the very last one on the row, I'm going to grab the loop next to it. That's already been worked. I'm going to pull through. And I'm going to do it again. So I basically do that until I only have 1 loop. So here we go. So I knit another one. I'm going to pull through. And then so you'll notice it starts to look like your original foundation chain. So now when I bind off, I try to be, honestly, with this part, I try to be as loose as possible, just because you'll see that when you bind off, you don't want it to be really tight, because if it starts to get tight, so I'll even give it a little more breathing room. If it starts to get tight, the blanket will cinch at the very end. Like, it'll look tight. And then so I'm gonna work this, pull through. I'm gonna work my next loop, pull through, I'm gonna work my next loop, and pull through. Alrighty, so now I bind it off. So now these are all worked. So these aren't gonna come loose anymore, they're there. So now for the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this. So this yarn is still connected to my original ball of yarn. I'm just going to cut it. I'll say like this long. Oh, the scissors won't cut. Here we go. And then so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and then take my little tail piece. I'm going to slip it through this loop to make sure it's connected to something, so that way it has an anchor so it won't come off. And I'm going to pull it tight. So this part I'm actually going to pull tight, as close as I can to the rest of the blanket as I can. And then I like to turn it over and work it from the back. So I'm going to slip it to the back, and you just kind of weave it in. Just weave it in. So Let me pull this through, just so you can't see it. So I'm going to keep weaving it into the very last chain there. There we go. And then I like to do, just for safekeeping, I like to do an extra loop. There you go. And then just cut it. And now that that's all weaved in, and then you just kind of like pat it down, and then look, you never know. And then you'll do the same thing. So this is the original foundation chain. You'll do exactly the same thing, except this one's already in. But you're just gonna do pretty much exactly the same thing. You just weave it in like we just did. So for this one, you don't have to do as much because it's definitely not gonna come unraveled. But just to be safe and for demonstration purposes. And so again, I'm just gonna do this and then pull it down, and then I'm gonna cut with my dull scissors. Alrighty, so here it is. So your blanket obviously will look a lot longer, but just for demonstration purposes, that's basically all you need. That is actually all you need to know to make a blanket. Yours will be a lot longer with more rows. And of course, I do have the link to my pattern here in the description. So if you'd like to knit your own blanket, I do have that in there. But yeah, that's pretty much all you need to know. And so if you have any questions, or I left something out or something wasn't clear, feel free to let me know. You can message me or leave a comment. Well, until next time, see you later.